In this video, I want to show you 10 levels of ear training to test and see how good your ear is. With each of these 10 levels, we're going to start at level 1, and each level is going to get progressively harder. And the main reason I'm putting this together in this video is to show you exactly where your strengths are in ear training and where your weaknesses are. Because when you have a very clear picture of what you really need to work on, being able to increase your skills quickly gets a lot easier. So the way this is going to work is I'm going to explain each level, and what you're going to hear is a bunch of examples that you're going to try to transcribe by ear. It's going to start off much easier and basic and go all the ways up to where you're going to be transcribing some pretty difficult chord progressions. Now, before we get into the first level, a little bit of a tip is try to do this without your guitar. All right, you can have your guitar in hand and then try to figure it out with the guitar, but it's much better to just use your ear, figure out what you think the answer is just by ear, and then you can use your guitar to check, but I'm going to give you the answer quick anyway. Also, if you feel like you have some of these levels down and you don't really need to go through them, feel free to skip ahead and go through the harder levels. But let's go ahead and get to the first one. So level 1 of ear training is being able to identify the difference between half steps and whole steps. A half step is just when you go up or down by 1 fret. That's a half step. Also, that's a half step as well. A whole step is just 2 frets, so it's going up 2 or down 2. So the whole steps sound a little bit brighter. The half steps sound a little bit darker. Alright, so what's going to happen now is you're going to hear some examples. You're going to hear me playing either a half step or whole step, and you've got to guess which one you think it is, and then I'll tell you the answer. Here is the first example. That one was a whole step. Here's the next example. That one was a half step. Here's the next one. That one was a whole step. Here is another one. And that one was a whole step. Here is the next example. That was a half step. Here is another one. And that one was a half step. Here is the next one. And that one was a whole step. Here is the next example. And that one was a half step. Here's the next one. And that one was a whole step. Here is the final example for this level. And that one was a half step. Okay, so how did you do? Put it in the comments. Did you get all of them right? Some of them, a little bit, almost all of them? How did you do in it? And also, you don't have to be really good at one level to move on to the next level. All right, so if you weren't so good at half steps and whole steps, it doesn't mean you can't go to the next one, which this next one is being able to tell the difference between a major and a minor chord. So, major chords sound bright and happy. Minor chords sound a little bit sadder and darker. So you're going to hear the same thing. You're going to hear me play either a major or minor chord, and you have to guess which one it is. Here we go. That one was a major chord. Here's the next one. That one was a minor. Here's the next example. And that one was a major. Here's the next one. That one was a major. Here's the next example. And that one was a minor. Here's the next one. That one was a minor. Here's the next example. And that one was a major. Here's the next one. And that one was a minor. Here is the next example. And that one was a major. Here is the last example for this exercise. And that one was a minor. All right, now level 3. Level 3 is being able to identify different major intervals. So this is coming from the major scale, all right? So the intervals that you would need to be able to identify by ear is, let's say that we're in the key of D. Key doesn't matter, but we'll see we're in the key of D. So this is my 1. Then this is my 2. This is my 3. This is my perfect 4th, perfect 5th, 6, 7. And then 1 again, or since this is up an octave, it would be more correctly to say 8. All right, so what's going to happen is you're going to hear the 1 being played, and then you have to figure out by ear which one of these other intervals am I hitting, or these other scale degrees. So if you heard that, it would be a perfect 5th. Heard this, it'd be a 7. So listen to the 7. The 7 is very tense, so that's a dead giveaway. The 2 is just going up the scale a little bit. The 3 is very nice and soft. The 4 wants to resolve down to the 3. So ask yourself, does the note I'm hearing want to move or stay there? If it wants to move, it's more likely going to be a 2, 4, 6, or 7. The 5 is pretty nice being there. 1, 3, and 5 generally wants to stay where they are. 6, very sweet, but wants to go to the 5. And then you got the 7, which wants to go to the 1. So you're going to hear the 1 being played, and then you have to guess what interval's happening after that. Here's your first example. That one was a perfect 5th. Here's the next one. That one was a major 7th. Here's the next example. That one was a major third. Here's the next one. That one was a perfect fourth. Here's the next example. That one was a major second. Here's the next one. That one was a major six. Here's the next one. That one was an octave, so the 1 to the 8, same note, just up an octave. Here's the next one. That was a major 6. Here's another one. That was a major 2nd. Here's the final example. And that was a major 7. Now, on to level 4. So, level 4 is being able to identify intervals in the minor scale. So, the difference between the major and the minor is the minor has a flat 3, flat 6, and flat 7. Okay? So, here's what this looks like. So, the major went like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, all I need to do is take the 3, 6, and 7 and flat it, meaning move it down 1 fret. So now we've got 1, 2, flat 3, or minor 3, same thing. 4, 5, flat 6. Now the 7 was here, so flat 7 is there. So we've got, so here's the 1 to 2. Here's what the 1 to 3 sounds like. 1 to 4. 1 to 5, 1 to 6, 1 to 7, and 1 to 1. All right, so same as the major, you're going to hear me play the 1 first, then you've got to figure out what interval is being played after. Here we go. That was a minor third. Here's the next example. That was a minor 7th. Here's the next one. That was a perfect 5th. Here's the next example. That was a minor 6. Here's another one. That one was a minor third. Here's the next example. That one was a major 2nd. Here is another one. That one was a minor 7th. Here's the next example. That one was a perfect fourth. Here is another example. That one was a minor 6. Here's the final example for this level. And that one was a minor 3rd. Now for level number 5. This one is where we're going to go back to the major key and you are going to try to transcribe an actual chord progression. So we're going to be in the key of A for this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a chord progression. Now it's either going to be the 1 chord, then I could go to the 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. I'm not going to throw in the 7 diminished here, but in a major key, the 1, 4, and 5 are major, the 2, 3, and 6 are minor. So if you hear a minor chord, it has to be the 2, 3, or 6. If you hear a major chord, it has to be the 1, 4, or 5, which is why being able to identify the difference between major and minors is helpful. Also, if you hear me moving up a whole step, you know it has to be anything but the 3 to 4. Because 3 to 4 is the only half step that's going to occur in these chord progressions I'm playing. Everything else is a whole step. So if you hear a half step, you know it is going to be the 3 to 4. All right, but you're going to hear 4 chords. The first chord will be the 1, and you've got to figure out what 3 chords happen after that. And remember to try to do this with your ears, not your guitar. But here's your first example. That one was a 1, 5, 6 minor, 4. Here's the next one. And that one was a 1, 3 minor, 4, 6 minor. Here's the next one. And that one went 1, 2 minor, 4, 5. Here's another chord progression. And that one was a 1, 6 minor, 3 minor, 5. Here's another one. That one was a 1, 4, 2 minor, 5. Here's the last chord progression for this level. And that one was a 1, 5, 3 minor, 6 minor. Now on to level 6. Now level 6, the way that I'm going to do this is you are going to hear one chord being played. And you're not trying to figure out, is it a C chord, a G chord? You're trying to figure out what type of chord it is. It is either going to be a major chord, a minor chord, a major 7, a minor 7, a dominant 7, a sus4, or a sus2. So, you're going to listen to the chord and you're trying to identify which one of those from that list is it. Here's your first one. That one was a sus4. Here's the next chord. That one was a dominant. Here is the next one. That one was a major 7. Here's the next chord. That was just a good old standard major chord. Here's the next one. And that one was a minor 7. Here's the next one. And that one was a major 7. Here's the next chord. And that one was just a plain minor chord, minor triad. Here's the next chord. And that one was a suspended 2. Here's the next one. That one was a minor 7. Here's the next chord. And that one was a dominant. Here is the final chord for this level. And that one was a suspended 4. All right, now level 7. So level 7, we're going to be doing the same thing where you're just hearing one chord being played, but the types of chords that it can be is we're going to focus on the 9s. So 9 is you can have a major add 9 that sounds like this. Now an add 9 is where you just take a triad and you add a 9 to it, which is the same thing as a 2 up an octave. So we've got the 9. This is a major add 9. Now minor add 9s sound like this. Or like this. Or major add 9s sound more like this. Then we have the 9 chords. So a major 9 sounds like this. Now the difference between add 9s and 9s is that a 7 is present. In the add 9s there is no 7. But here's a major 9. Here's a minor 9. Here's a 9. 9 comes from the dominant chord, so it's got a 1, 3, flat 7, 9. And then we have the dominant sharp 9. So this would be notated as an F7 sharp 9. This is also referred to as the Jimi Hendrix chord. All right, so to recap, I'm going to play one chord, and you're trying to figure out, is it a major add 9, a minor add 9, a major 9, minor 9, 9, or dominant sharp 9. Here's your first chord. That is a dominant sharp 9. Here's the next one. That was a major add 9. Here's the next one. That one was a minor 9. D minor 9 to be exact. Here's the next chord. That one was a major 9 chord. Here's the next one. And that one was a 9 chord. Here's the next one. That one was a minor 9. Here's the next one. That one was a 9 chord, a G9. Again, you don't have to know that it was a G, you just have to know that it was a 9 chord. Here's the next chord. That one was a minor add 9. Here's the next chord. That one was a D9, just a 9 chord. Here's the final chord for this level. And that one was a dominant sharp 9. Now it's time for level 6. So level 6 is where we're going to focus on identifying secondary dominant chords. Now if you understand what secondary dominant chords are, fantastic. But for those that don't, I'm going to explain this in a way that is going to make it easy to understand. Now people that know secondary dominant chords are going to be like, well, it's not technically that, it's not technically this, you'd actually call it that. Whatever, I'm going to explain it in a way for someone who doesn't know theory or doesn't understand these in a very easy way. So in a major chord, you have chords 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and 7. But we're not going to worry about the 7 right now. Well, secondary dominants, what they do very generally is you just take the minor chords and make them major. This is what can happen. All right, this is what does happen. So instead of the 2, the 3, or the 6 being minor, it can be major. So if I play this progression, well, I played a 6 and a 2, but I made them major. So if you're very new to this, you can just hear that and be like, oh, that's the 6 major, or oh, that's the 2 major, all right? But now, secondary dominants, the correct term is the way secondary dominant chords work is you go to any note in the key and you go up a fifth, okay? So you go up a fifth from there, and then you get a major or a dominant 7th chord. So you can do this. If I go to the 2 and I go up a fifth from there, I get here, which is the 6th chord, all right? But it's also called the 5 of 2 because I went up a fifth from the 2nd, and I get this. So your ear could hear this as 6 major, or you could really think of this as the 5 of 2. Now, if I was on the 3, or let's say I was on the 5, and I went to a 5 from there, I get to here, which is the 2nd scale degree, all right? So it would be major. So I could either hear this as the 2 is major, or I can hear this as the 5 of 5, because I went to the 5 chord, then went to a 5. So if secondary dominant chords make sense, you can think, oh, that's the 5 of 5, that's the 5 of 3, or whatever. But if it doesn't, then all you have to listen out for is in these chord progressions coming up, the 2, 3, or 6 is going to be major. Sometimes it'll be minor, sometimes it'll be normal, but the interesting chords, the chords that sound out of place or out of key, are going to be major. So you're going to hear chords being played, and you're just trying to listen to for what the chord progression is, and you're trying to hear, well, is that 2, 3, or 6 major? All right, here's your first example. So that one went 1, 5, 2 minor to the 6 major, or you can think of it as the 5 of 2. Both are correct. All right, here's your next example. That one went 1 to the 3 major, or the 5 of 6, to the 4 major, to the 5 major. Here's the next example. That time I did a 1 to a 3 major, or the 5 of 6. Then I went to a 6 major, or the 5 of 2, and then I went to the 2 minor. Here's the next progression. That time I did a 1 to a 2 major to a 3 major. Or you can think of it as a 1, the 5 of 5, and the 5 of 6. Here's the next progression. That progression went 1, 5, 6 minor to the 2 major, or the 5 of 5. Here is the last progression for this level. That one went to the 1, then the 4, and the 3 major, the 5 of 6, and then the 2 major, the 5 of 5. All right, level 9, we're getting near the end. So level 9, you're gonna hear chord progression being played, 4 chords, but I'm gonna be using chords from level 6, so the 7s. So I could be doing a major or minor chord, I could be doing a major 7, minor 7, dominant, or I could be doing a suspended 2 or suspended 4. So a little trick to this is first, forget if it's a 7 or a sus or whatever. Just try to figure out, is the 1, the 5, the 4, then try to figure out if it's a 7 or suspended after, okay? Here is your first chord progression. But also, before we do it, some chord progressions will start on the 1, some won't. So listen out for that. But now, here's your first chord progression. That one went 1, to a 2 minor 7, to a dominant 5, to a 6 sus 2. Here's the next example. That time I did a 1, to a 6 minor 7, to a 4 major 7, to a dominant 5. Here's the next chord progression. That time I did a 6 minor 7, to a 1 major 7, to just a normal 4, to a dominant 5. Here's the next progression. That time I did a 1, to a 3 minor, to a 5 sus 4, to a 5, to a 2 minor 7. Here's the last chord progression of this level. That time I did a 5, to a 1 major 7, to a 4 sus 2, to a 3 minor 7. All right, level 10, you've made it. Woohoo! So level 10 is where we are going to now hear a chord progression being played, 4 chords. It could start on the 1, it could not start on the 1, but it can include any of the chords that we've done. It can include any of the 9s, any of the suspendeds, any of the 7s, any of those secondary dominant chords. All right, so really listen out for these. Here's your first chord progression. That time I did a 6 minor 9 to a 4 major 7 to the 1 major 7 to the 2 minor 7. Here is the next chord progression. That time I did a 1 major 7 to the 5 dominant to a 3 major, or the 5 to 6, to a 6 minor 9. Here's the next progression. That time I did a 5 dominant sharp 9 to the 1, then I did a 4 sus 2 to the 3 minor 9. Here's the next progression. That time I went to a 4 major 7 to the 1, 5 dominant sharp 9 to a 4 sus 2. Here's the next one. That time I did a 4 major 7 to a 1, to a 5 sus 4 to 5 to a 4 sus 2. Here is the final chord progression for this last level. That time I went to a 6 minor 7 to a 1 major 7 to a 2 major to a 5 dominant. The 2 major could also be the 5 of 5, which is more commonly known as, but that was the last chord progression. So, how did you do? Leave it in the comments. Did you find some of these levels very difficult and some very easy? Were they all hard? Were they all easy? What did you think? And if you would like to know a little bit more about how to actually train your ear to be able to identify these chord progressions, you should check out my online course called Complete Ear Mastery, where I go in full depth on how to train your ear to identify literally anything that can happen in music. But I hope you enjoyed this video, got a lot out of it, and I will see you at the next one.